mellow. Yeah, I like to keep it mellow. I smoke and keep it mellow. I drink and keep it mellow. Every day I keep it mellow. Every day I keep it mellow. I smoke and keep...
Yo, what is going on, guys? You got Rico here, bringing you my big semi-final game in the WBA. We're here, we're ready to go. We've put together a pretty solid team. I'm up against my good bud Capricious. He's coach of the Colorado Ferroseeds, and of course we already played this season in the regular season way back in week 2, I believe, and he smacked me the fuck up. I think he won like 3-0, but it was 3 or 4, I think, but he literally had the momentum the entire game, and it was all him, and I was just on the back foot the whole time. I had a really bad time of it, but like I say, that was a long time ago, back in week 2, and I'm hoping that the team I put together this game was going to do me a lot better than that. So I'm not doing an official team builder this time, just going to kind of run you quickly through what I brought. Pretty busy at the moment, so I'm just going to stick to this. But yeah, hopefully you enjoy the game, and yeah, let's get straight into it. So basically, like I say, we already played, and he smacked me up. My matchup against Capricious and the Colorado Ferroseeds is awful in my opinion. It's not awful. He just has a few mons that completely fuck up my draft just entirely. And he also has a couple of mons that are really, really hard for me to take down. It's a good draft overall. It's a really, really solid draft. On paper, it kind of doesn't look incredible, I don't think, but once I started digging into it and delving a bit deeper, like he has no common weaknesses, or anything like that to take advantage of. His speed tiers are really good. Like, I prepped so fucking hard for this game, and the amount in depth I went into his team made me realise how good his draft is. So basically, he's got an Azumarill, which completely tears through my draft, and he's got a Zygarde 10%, which I have no switch-ins to. Basically the problem with the Zygarde is obviously it gets 1,000 arrows, and I even remember when I was drafting the team, I was like, okay, yeah, I've got like 4 ground weaknesses, but I also had I think I had 3 ground immunities, or I had a couple of ground immunities, so I was like, well, it's kind of not too bad, and I had 1 or 2 resistances, something like that. But because 1,000 arrows hits the mons who are normally immune to it, it's so fucking good against my team. It literally just tears me apart. So that's it. Those 2 combined are a huge problem, and those 2 were the reasons for me getting smacked up so hard in the first tie. He brought Belly Drum, Azu, and Banded Zygarde just because they're so good, and they just tore through me. So going into my prep, I obviously knew I needed a way of dealing with them, and at first I wanted to go with a very offensive team because I didn't think I had any answers to those 2, and I just wanted to try and out-offense him. So I had like a couple of Scarfers, loads of priority, basically just all my fast, hard-hitting mons. But after doing some mocks and stuff, I realised it wasn't really working. So I changed it up, and I just tried to be as kind of inventive as possible to try and find a way to stop those 2 mons that were ridiculously threatening. And the way I did that was to stop the Zygarde, I went with this Skarmory. Now, Skarmory usually isn't 1,000 arrows switching because it gets taken down, gets grounded on the first hit, and the second one's super effective, and banded to it KOs it, usually. But what I realised I could do is throw a Shuckerberry on here, so that the second both ground hits were neutral and counter, which had a chance to OHKO on a neutral 1,000 arrows. So basically I brought this Skarmory simply for that thing, literally simply for the Zygarde 10. And in terms of the Azumarill, the one thing I had that had an okay matchup against it was my tier 6 Go-Goat, the absolute beast. Only come to one game before the season. I basically got this mon because I think it's cool as shit and I needed a grass type and I really like it. And that's why it's called Rico, because it's probably my favourite mon. So that's why I drafted it. And basically this is the only mon I have that can reliably take an Aquajet and actually do some damage to an Azumarill, a +6 Aquajet, because I was pretty certain he was bringing Belly Drum. And now you can see on this Go-Goat set, I've actually got Wild Charge here, and that was because I was paranoid, basically, that he was going to realise I was bringing Go-Goat for the Azumarill, and then bring Sap Sipper instead of Huge Power, because, is it Huge Power, Pure Power, whatever it is, because I was running the calcs and stuff, and he literally doesn't need Huge Power. Like, at +6, he doesn't need it. It OHKOs what it needs to anyway. So I was paranoid he was going to bring Sap Sipper to tank my Leaf Blade or something and get an, well, he wouldn't need another attack boost if he was already +6, but you know what I mean. So I put Wild Charge with the Magnet on in case that happened. Enough speed to outspeed the Azu as a jolly max speed Azu, because I wasn't taking any risks. The rest, that was enough attack to do 75% minimum in case he was the Citrus Berry Belly Drum set. So that did 75% minimum, and then the rest in defense just to tank the Aquajet or the Player Off, whatever it was, as best as I could. So that's the role of literally those two mons. That is all they do. It's simply for the Azu and the Zygarde, because I knew he was bringing them. And after that, basically my strategy was to try and break down his fat with some absolute powerful wall breakers, which namely are a Charcoal Victini. I didn't want to bring Band because I thought it was too restrictive against his draft. So I thought Charcoal would be nice to power up the V-Create, since that's what I'll be clicking like 9 times out of 10. Toxic for anything like a Rotom Heat, a Max Defense, Mew. What else was there? Toxic was just kind of there for his fatter mons if I wasn't doing enough damage, and I could Toxic him on a surprise. U-turn obviously for Momentum, Bolt Strike for a Azumarill, if I predict the Azumarill coming in or something. So this thing did shitloads to... It actually did a surprising amount to a max defense powered on with V-Create, did over half. Obviously it's just so good at breaking down walls. So that was the kind of plan with Victini, and exactly the same thing with Sylveon. He has very few switch-ins to a Specs Hyper Voice, as do many teams, to be honest. There's not a lot of teams in general that deal well with a Specs Hyper Voice. And his mons that did deal with it okay dropped it, well not dropped, but took a shitload from Psyshock. Shadow Ball was for the Mew, did about 70% to a max Spadef Mew, I think. Excuse me. So yeah, literally the same rules as Vantage basically. So yeah, the max special attack, just as much damage as possible. Same with the Victini, that is their role, to try and break down his fatter mons like a bulky Mew, a bulky Rotom, a Hippo. Cryogonal is the other big one actually. I don't necessarily have trouble dealing with it, but it is surprisingly fat on the special side. So that was the role of those two. And then I wanted to have some mons that I know could sweep up at the end. Not necessarily like dedicated win cons, but just mons that I knew could pick off other mons easily once Victini and Sylveon had done their job. And those two were a Choice Banded Lucario. Obviously not very fast, but Choice Banded E-Speed is so fucking strong. Does shit ton of damage. So the close combat obviously just hits things very hard with the Choice Band. Crunch is for Mew, obviously. Thunder Punch is for things like the Azumarill, the Crobat, and I feel like there's one more, I can't remember off the top of my head. But basically this mon really was for the E-Speed. The priority was so nice. Like if I can get if counter doesn't kill Zygarde because it was a roll, then I can E-speed it. If I get a zoom reel below half with, just some chip on it, even without, say Go-Goat drops or something like that, if I don't manage to kill it, if I get it below half, E-speed kills, it does up to 50. There's just a bunch of mons on his team that E-speed was really, really useful for. So that's its main role, is to kind of have it in the back as a fail-safe way of picking off a few of those things. And obviously E-speed would out-prioritise Aqua Jet on the Azu because it's +2 priority rather than +1. So that's Lucari's role, just to clean up things once Victini and Sylveon had broken them down a bit. And exactly the same things with Neptune. Neptune, my Hydreigon, for those of you who don't know who Neptune is. Choice Scarf Hydreigon, pretty standard stuff, but pretty solid matchup. The last time we battled, I brought like a bulkier Hydreigon. Can't really remember why. Seems weird looking back. Oh, it might have been for the fucking... I think that might have been my answer to Zygarde at that time, not realising how much a banded 1,000 arrows would do. I can't remember why I decided to do bulky, but I did. But basically, I was 99% sure that he was bringing banded Zygarde, so Choice Scarf outspeeds him, Drake obviously kills, Dark Pulse does a shit ton. Good matchup overall with Dark Pulse. U-turn's really nice for momentum. And Surf. I realised about halfway through the battle that I was a minus attack nature, which was obviously bad for the U-turn, and that was a little bit annoying. There's a minus attack nature, and obviously that meant it wasn't doing as much. Like, it wasn't the end of the world or anything, but nah. And then Surf basically for the Hippo and the Rotom. That was the thinking there. But basically it was just for the speed control, just to try and pick things off once Victini and Sylveon had done the work. So that was pretty much it really for the squad. Break things with these two and try and clean up with these two. And then these two are just a dedicated wall for 1-1 each, and obviously if he didn't bring them I would be fucked. Not fucked, that's just a waste of 2 mons, but I was pretty certain he was bringing those two, and they were the only 2 that I could think of dealing with it. So yeah, that's it for the team. Might as well jump into the battle there. Got it loaded up. So on team preview I realised it was the exact same 6 as he brought earlier in the season. Now obviously you could have different sets and stuff, but I think that kind of gave me a bit of confidence, I think, because I thought, okay, well I've changed quite a lot to adapt to him, whereas maybe he's not adapted as much. Like if he'd brought, I think I prefer him doing that than bringing a completely different 6. So I was pretty happy with that. My kind of rough plan in my head was I would probably lead Hydreigon, just because its Scarf should outspeed pretty much everything outside of a couple of his Scarfers, and either be able to get a hit off or U-turn out, just to scout who he wants to lead with and whatever. But as I sat here on team preview, I thought, you know what, fuck it, let's lead Sylveon. He has pretty much 0 switch-ins, and it's fat enough to take a hit from, I think it would take any hit from all of his mons. So I thought, my goal here initially is to dent his team as much as I can, just put huge holes in his team. So let's lead Sylveon. So that's what I ended up doing here. I need to turn that music off, that's way too loud. And he ends up leading with his Azu. And I thought it was quite interesting. I didn't really know why. If I had to predict his lead, I would have probably predicted Mew, Cryogonal, definitely Hippo for the rocks, obviously, and the friggin' oven, Rotom. I wouldn't have predicted this or the Zygarde, so I thought it was interesting. I thought maybe made me think he wasn't a belly drum set. Whether he's just wanting to belly drum up from the start and sweep me, I don't know. But I thought maybe he's choice banded, maybe he's the Whirlpool set, the Whirlpool Paris Trap set, something like that. But I thought my best player, I knew even if he was banded I could take any hit off him, and I think I had a chance to OHKO a max HP variant with my Hyper Voice, so I just clicked Hyper Voice, presuming he would probably switch, but even if he didn't, it was a good play for me anyway. So he goes Mew, which is brilliant because this is one of the biggest fat mons on his team that I could have had problems with. So being able to 2-hit KO that thing from the outset and him not being able to do a lot to me with any move was massive for me. That was incredible straight away. So brilliant turn 1. He knows that he's going to die, so he has to switch again. And the second mon that is really hard for my Hydreigon to beat, the Cryogonal, because it's surprisingly especially bulky, also takes 60%. So that was brilliant first 2 turns, really pleased with that. Sylveon doing exactly what I wanted it to do straight away. And at this point he obviously outspeeds me, and I predicted him to go for a knockoff, because obviously none of his special moves are going to kill me, so I don't think anything would do over half. So I predicted him to go for knockoff to get rid of the specs, which meant he would live. Which he does do. I decide to just stay in and go for it again, because if he doesn't do that I kill him. But he does, and I get him down to about 5%, I think. 6%, yeah. So obviously without the specs I'm free to change my moves up, which means I can now go for a Psyshock as he recovers, and I'm doing about the same as his lefty's recovery is doing. So at this point I thought, do I sit here and just let him keep recovering? Or do I change up or something? And in my head I thought I might as well see if he wants to keep doing this. He still doesn't have a switch in. I don't have my specs, but nothing wants to take these hits. So I decided to just stay and keep doing it and hope I get a crit and kill him. And he just keeps recovering here, and I presumed he was going to realise that he's risking a crit and switch out at some point, but I kind of didn't have any reason to stop doing this. But he does do that. He goes into this thing, and Psyshock not doing a lot there, but I realised that he couldn't do anything to me. You know, I'm a Sylveon. Sylveon's got 130 base special defence, so whilst I'm not doing a lot to him, he can't do much to me, and I just appreciate the damage on this. Sylveon here is doing an absolutely incredible job. He's doing exactly what I wanted, just doing as much damage to his team as possible. To his fat mons. So I thought he would probably Volt Switch here, so I think I Hyper Voice. And yeah, he actually goes for the Shadow Ball, which I thought was really weird. I guess he expected me to go Teeny. I don't understand that Shadow Ball at all, to be honest, because in my head I have no reason to go into a Victini against this thing. This is one thing that I need to weaken before Victini can do a lot to it. So I don't really understand the Shadow Ball there, but he goes for the Shadow Ball, and I just keep getting more chip on this thing, which is exactly what I need, because Rotom does not have reliable recovery. But at this point I decide I can go into my Neptune here, because I was calcing him to be max special attack, I think, and max HP, I want to say. Not 100% sure on that. Sorry guys, I'm coughing a lot. But I go into Neptune, we get crit, which kind of sucks. I go into Neptune because I knew Shadow Ball wasn't going to do a lot, and I presumed his other moves were Overheat and Volt Switch, so all resisted hits, and goes for the Overheat. Crit does just over 50, which is fine because I threaten this thing obviously. And at this point the obvious switch in is the fucking rabbit, the Azumarill. And I really wanted to just U-turn here, but I had Surf on this Hydreigon and I couldn't resist missing out on a potential KO, because I felt like the U-turn was so obvious that he might just stay in and Volt Switch, get a slower Volt Switch than me. So I end up going for the Surf in case he wants to stay in, which was probably a misplay. I should have just U-turned. There wasn't a lot of drawbacks because he was at half special attack. But I do go for the Surf, trying to catch him staying in. And he does go into this thing, so I should have U-turned there, because this thing is potentially probably the biggest threat to my team. Now, I have said Go-Goat is my answer to this thing, but I couldn't go hard Go-Goat because I don't know his set, and he could have been banded, at which point, if he goes play rough that turn and Aquajet the next turn, I think oh well, you couldn't do that with a band anyway, but basically he would do a shit ton to me, and I didn't guarantee to kill him at that range, so I couldn't risk doing that. So because Sylveon's already been knocked off and it's kind of done its job, it's dented what it needed to, I felt it was the most expendable member at this point, just to scout what he was going to do, and he does just go straight for that play rough, so I was so pleased I didn't go into Go-Go at that point, because I could have lost to this thing if I did that. So he just Aquajets me, takes me out, which is fine. Sylveon, first mon on my team to die, but did an incredible job, did it exactly what I wanted it to. And I can now... Why did I go Victini? Oh, I know, because I needed the chip on this thing for Go-Go. I still couldn't go hard Go-Go because I didn't guarantee do that much. It was a roll. So I realised that and his Aquajet at neutral, not belly drum, did about half to Victini. So I knew I needed to U-turn this thing to get it down below 75. So I go for the U-turn, get the damage that I need on it, and I thought he would probably be baited into going Aquajet there, but he doesn't. Guess he reads that I'm U-turning for the damage and goes for the Z belly drum, which is perfect for me because I was scared he was going to go play rough at that point, predicting me to U-turn, which would have been bad for me. But he doesn't. He goes for the Z belly drum, which is perfect because I guaranteed outspeed him, which forces him to go for Aquajet, which doesn't do enough to kill me, and I can kill him with my wild charge in case he was Sap Sipper, which it turns out he wasn't. So that was an excellent turn of events for me. That was really, really good. His biggest threat is, or one of his biggest threats is gone. Perfectly to plan, get the chip on it, and get Go-Goat to kill him. So he goes back into this thing, and I just decided to sack Go-Goat. It's not doing too much for me, so I just, outside of that thing, it's not doing too much, so I just sack him off. And do I just go Teeny here? Hydreigon, yeah, because he outspeeds and U-turn kills. So he sacks this thing off to the U-turn, and I get to go into my Victini for free here. I think my thinking with Victini was that if he goes into anything but the Zygarde, I can V-create for huge damage. And if he does go Zygarde, I go into Skarmory as per my original plan. So he goes into this thing. Obviously I have a type disadvantage, but I knew that V-create was doing over half, and I couldn't 2-hit KO him basically. So I just go for the V-create. I presumed he was probably going to go Rocks there. I thought he might think I was going to switch and go for the Rocks, but even if he did go for Earthquake, all I wanted was the damage on this thing so that Lucario or Hydreigon can come in, because I knew with damage on this thing those two could probably win between them with the 4 that are left and the health that they're all at. So I wasn't worried about him going for an EQ here particularly, but he actually reveals the Rocky Helmet first, and then he reveals that he's Rock Tomb, which was a nice bring on his part. It was interesting. He misses it, obviously. We had a really long talk about this afterwards, because he was he basically was saying, oh, it's a bad that the Rock Tomb missed because of something that happens later. Basically, you'll be able to see. But we had a really, really long talk, and we both agreed that it didn't matter at all in the end, because I already got the speed drop from the V-create anyway. So the miss isn't important there. I do think he misplayed. I think he should have just EQ'd and got rid of my Victini. But I mean, he didn't have a... I can see why he didn't, because I have 2 mons that are immune to EQ, so I can see why he didn't. But anyway, yeah, the Rock Tomb miss doesn't matter there. So we're free to just go for another V-create and, you know, pretty much pick up a KO on something or get massive damage off. He switches out knowing that the Hippo is going to die at that point into this thing. We do over half to this as well. And because we're now at -2 defences, My throat is really bad, sorry guys. Because we're at -2 defences and half speed, he outspeeds me and can pick me off easily with one of his moves. But unfortunately for him, he misplays pretty bad here. Basically, he said he forgot about the defense drops, which meant when he was calcing he didn't think he could kill me here. So he goes for a pain split, hoping to get enough health back, but unfortunately the V-Create gets a slightly higher roll and Victini picks up yet another kill. So Victini and Sylveon doing their jobs to the utmost degree here, just picking up kills all over the place, denting his team exactly how I wanted it to go. So this was going really well so far. I was feeling confident, and now he goes Zygarde, so I'm able to execute my Skarmory plan. I knew that if Zygarde hit the field, I go hard Skarmory because I can guarantee to take 2 of these 1000 arrows. I can take the first one, and then on the second one, as we see here, I can go for counter. Take the 1000 arrows with the Sugar Berry, go for the counter. It was overall really nice because I guess it's hard to predict a Sugar Berry counter Skarmory, so it's easy for him to get baited into going for 2. The counter was a roll, not sure in whose favour, but it is a roll. But that worked perfectly. If it didn't kill, I can just go Lucario or Neptune to either E-speed or just outspeed naturally with the Scarf, and pick him off if I got him to within 5% or something. So we managed to get the kill there, which was awesome. Yet another part of my plan going really well. And he goes into Mew. I just decide to sack the Skarmory because again it's done its job. It was there for the Zygarde and it did it. So he Volt switches into this thing, and Neptune with Dark Pulse was a roll on it, but because V-Create was a guaranteed kill and differential doesn't matter anymore, because it's playoffs time, I just decided to go for the V-Create, knock him out. We take the Rocky Helmet damage, so Victini put in even more work this game, and he goes into Mew, can obviously outspeed me and kill me pretty easily. So at this point I was thinking he was probably Scarfed Mew, because he hadn't revealed Scarf on anything else, and I was thinking that he would probably want a Scarfer. So I thought maybe Scarf Mew, but the easiest play was to go to Hydreigon. Sludge Wave couldn't kill me if he was Scarf max speed, and he outspeed me. Sludge Wave couldn't kill, and I can kill him with the Dark Pulse. The other thing that I thought he might be was Colbur Berry, because I've got a Mega Absol in my draft, and Pursuit trapping this thing would be way too easy otherwise, so I thought Colbur Berry was a chance, but if he was, I could outspeed him 2 at KO. So he does reveal Colbur Berry. We barely miss on taking him out, but his best move to hit me with is a Sludge Wave. So Hydreigon is managing to pick up the final kill, and we defeat Capricious 2-0. Really, really awesome game. I was so happy with that because, like I said at the start, I just felt like his draft was really good against mine overall. I prepped really fucking hard for this. I did like 4 mock battles, which I've never done before, with 4 different people. The first 2, I got destroyed like 4-0 by Azumarill both times. It just set up in my face because I didn't have Go-Go at that point. So the mock battles really, really helped me for sure in getting things like the Go-Go on my team, and getting this Scarfed Hydreigon on the team. So definitely that was useful, but I was just so fucking happy to win this because I thought obviously I thought I had a chance if I played well, but I kind of thought it was unlikely. I didn't expect to lose, but just because I knew the matchup was so tough, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So the fact that I was able to pick up the win was really nice, and just for me personally, like I felt like I played and prepped a lot better in this match than I ever have before. Like this is my first draft league. I was pleased to make the finals to make the playoffs, sorry. And I just don't think I've played or prepped to this level before, in terms of thinking up an actual strategy of how I was going to beat him, like with having my 2 Mons to just break him down, and then my 2 mons to sweep at the end. I've never really done that. I've just kind of picked 6 mons that I thought were good and had good matchups and stuff. So just from a personal point of view, it was nice to kind of take a step up, I guess is what I'm trying to say, in the level that I'm playing and prepping at. But yeah, that puts us into the finals next week. The other semi-final is yet to play, so I don't know who I'll be facing yet. It's either going to be Dawn Mist or Jasper, both of who are awesome battlers and have really good drafts as well, so it's going to be really, really tough. But based on the way I prepped and played this week, I'm hoping I can do myself proud again next week and hopefully perform to the same level. And I think if I do, then, you know, hopefully it'll be a good game. Hopefully I won't get smacked, because both of those 2 guys beat me in the regular season as well. It's quite funny because the top 4 qualified for playoffs, so there was me obviously, and then the 3 other guys were the only 3 teams to beat me in the regular season. So I lost 3 times, each time was to one of them. So I was like, okay, well I'm going to do shit in playoffs because they're all just better than me. But yeah, we'll see. Hopefully you'll all check back in next week. I should be posting the final battle as well. I'd be a fool not to post that. So hopefully you'll check back, see how we get on. Hopefully we can grab another W and pick up the title in my first season. That'd be fucking awesome. But yeah, we'll see. Don't want to get too ahead of myself or anything, but I'm having great fun anyway. It's really good fun. So anyway, that's about it for me. I've rambled on long enough now, so thank you guys very much for watching, and yeah, be sure to check back next time and see how we get on next week. Other than that, I will catch you later.